Hi, everybody. This is Zan here reporting about another tragedy from the Astroworld catastrophe event that was held here in Houston, Texas. Um, Texas A&M student Barty Shahani, and I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing her name correctly, has died. And my condolences go to her family. This is extremely, extremely heartbreaking. Our city is just mourning, y'all. The vibe, the energy in the city, it's such a low vibration. Like everybody is just torn up from what occurred here last Friday on November the 5th. All these kids and young adults went to the concert to have a good time, spend a lot of money. Those tickets were very, very expensive. A lot of these kids talk about how they saved up for it. And then for something like this to have occurred, it's just really terrible and heartbreaking. I'm asking all of y'all to pray for these families, pray for these victims, even the ones who are been injured severely. I'm gonna go to NRG and pay my respect and put down some flowers and candles and pray. And it's just heartbreaking. And then, with these inconsistent stories, I don't know how these families going to get closure from this. I'm praying for them daily, y'all. And I'm asking them, begging and pleading that y'all do the same, because for somebody to lose a loved one, for a parent to lose their child, the way that they lost their children during this festival is just horrible. And nobody has given us any answers as to or them, mainly their families, any answer as to exactly what has happened, And I mean, I'm still puzzled and baffled. Like, what happened there? First they said somebody was going around pricking somebody with needles. Now the police chief cop came back and said, no, that wasn't the case. The security guard actually said somebody hit him in the head. What is it? How are we going to ever? How are their families going to ever have closure? How are the public is going to be informed if they don't even have their stories right? We don't know what exactly happened over there. It's just like a mystery. What happened over there at that Astroworld festival? This is heartbreaking. It's sickening. It's sad, and our hearts are just pouring out to these families, y'all. This is just so pathetic. And even though they're going to be compensated as they should, it doesn't replace them losing somebody they love. It just doesn't. Everybody's playing the blame game. And if you ask me, everybody's responsible for that, as far as the ones who were responsible for making sure these kids and these young adults had a safe event that they paid their money to. I mean, from the promoters, the producers of the event. I mean, I just feel like a lot of them are just very much responsible for all this. They all have to take some accountability as to what have occurred. All parties involved. The police, the fire department. They even said this morning on the news that they did not allow the fire chief to do a walkthrough. Well, why wasn't that? Why was that? And then if that didn't happen, why come the fire chief didn't, make sure that those people let them have access to those grounds before the general public had to? Something is not right, y'all. It's just a lot that's going on in the city, and people, you got the fire, you have the police department blaming the promoters and the artists, and then you have the artist lawyer, and then the promoters, Live Nation, whoever, they blaming the police chief and the police department, and the police department, the chief is saying, the police is saying that it's solely up to the production and the artists to stop the event, and then everybody else is saying that, when police are noted that something's not right, and a lot of them saw it, that they're responsible for shutting down the event. Then they're saying they didn't want to shut down the event because of scared of it might be a riot. It's just too many stories, and these poor families can't find out, first of all, the answers that they're looking for. And I know how that feels. I lost a loved one in 2017. My good friend. Y'all know I've been in the entertainment business for a very long time, which now I think I'm about to retire from it because of all this stuff that's going on, not only with these mandates. They want you to go get this thing in order to be able to perform and in order to be able to do productions. And if you don't get the thing, some of them, they say you got to go get the the thing that you have to take to see if you have it. And it's just too much for me. Now all this here stuff with this Astroworld event and all this stuff going on about how the music business, how they, sacrifice people and all that, But anyway, going back to this story. My friend was in the music business. She called me almost crying, talking very low because she didn't want her daughter to hear what she was saying. Her daughter, she had groomed to be in the business ever since she was 2 or 3 years old, put her in all kinds of events. I helped her, up in New York, and she went on and got her a deal with LL Cool J, and just a lot of great things that she did that, but that we were able to do for her daughter. She did more than I, of course, quite naturally, because she's her mother. But anyway, so her daughter was rising to fame, doing things, and the mother called me concerned. I'll never forget it. I was in Atlanta. She said, Zan, I sacrificed a lot to get my daughter to make it big in the business. I spent a lot of money. Y'all, I'm telling you, this lady spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. She said, I have gone out my way. She said, but now I think I've done wrong. And I said, what do you mean? She said, I think that she might have me sacrifice to make it. She said, you be careful in Atlanta, be careful in the business. She said, because now I'm finding out that a lot of these artists, in order for them to make it, they have to sacrifice their loved ones. And I didn't think that she was just talking out the side of her neck, because I've heard this before. Now, it never came to me because I've always done things independently. I've always worked with a lot of major artists, and I saw how they was getting pimped and slaved out, and they was always unhappy. I have good friends who are millionaires, and they was unhappy because they had people using them. They couldn't trust nobody. I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to sign with these labels. I even had labels offer me deals in New York, and I was like, I don't want it. I had a label offer me a deal in Houston when I was on tour with a big famous rap group in the 90s, and I was like, I don't want it. I just, I've always been like an entrepreneur-minded person, and I didn't want to be signing nobody, be nobody's slave, and couldn't get out the contract. I saw a lot of artists talking and complaining in the 90s how they were in contracts they couldn't get out. Even this daughter I'm talking about, she was in the contract with LL Cool J. She was complaining how she couldn't get out of the contract. I see a penny. I'm about to pick it up. Need this penny these days and time. And so anyway, the mother was going on to say, she's like, if anything happens to me, she did it. I'm telling y'all, this is the God to honest truth. And she said, you just be careful in that business. And I mean, everything she was saying to me kept playing back in my head. About 2 months later, they called me in Harlem. They said, she died. Did you hear about she died? Talking about the mother. I was like, what? Which is my best friend, my sister. I was like, what? What happened? They said, we know that the daughter was the only one around her. So it started playing back in my head again. What she told me, she said, if anything happened to me, it's my daughter. To this day, they still don't know. The community, a lot of people in the community is saying the daughter did something to her. But the family, everybody else don't know what happened. It's just, so I do believe these things occur in that business. But as far as this, Astroworld event, and going back to what I was saying, I understand how that family feel, not having closure, not having answers, everybody blaming everybody else instead of taking responsibility. Y'all, our lives are in danger. These people who are supposed to protect and serve us, I'm not just talking about the police department, I'm talking about the mayors, I'm talking about the governors, I'm talking about this system, I'm talking about these people, the promoters at these events. They supposed to make sure those people were safe. How as a fire chief, you gonna say they would not allow you to walk through to make sure the grounds was okay, and y'all still allowed that event to go take place? How do y'all see all these kids bum rushing the gates, getting in, and all this stuff illegally, and y'all don't close that park down? How do y'all see all these people passing out, fainting, and dying on the grounds, and you don't immediately shut it down? I mean, immediately. They said they declared it a mass casualty event 40 minutes before they even stopped the show. So, I mean, I'm just not understanding all these different things. These people coming out with their testimonies, security guards talking about how they did not receive training, how they was hiring people left and right to do the security who were fans, had never did any security work in their lives. And these people were even saying how unorganized it was. They were saying how security and police officers was going up to the stage, taking pictures, wasn't doing their job. They were complaining, talking about how the EMT workers weren't real EMT people. And I have to say allegedly because I wasn't there, but I believe those people who were actually there more than I believe that news, because their stories are so inconsistent like they always are. They were saying these people didn't even know how to perform CPR, that a lot of the fans and the crowd and stuff had to try to help one another. So I'm just asking y'all to pray for these families, man. Pray for the city of Houston. This is horrible. It's going to be a long time before everybody can heal from this. people are going to need a lot of mental health help. You know, I talked to my therapist the other day about it, you know, and y'all just be careful, man. We living in some wicked times, some really, really terrible, terrible times. There's just so much going on in this world. You know, it's just questionable. All these things, man, it's just not making no sense. How's all this stuff happening at one time? You got this administration with all these old mandates. You know, people losing their jobs as if that's okay. And they